So today we know that first overall pick going to the Spurs will be Victor Wembanyama. Tell me how you feel about him, Coach.
Well, I think he is definitely as good as advertised. The good thing about now, as compared to years past, there's a lot more platforms and outlets for people to go and look up film. But when I first heard about Wembanyama a few years ago, is when he was, going one on one against Rudy Gobert, one of the best defenders at the time in the league, and he's just so not only skilled, but his IQ, his maturity, the intangibles that he has to go along with his size and his length. He's just he has so much. I think one person said it best. There's no red flags with a guy that size and that talented. So he's going to be really good. And then I think the organization couldn't be any better, not just because of their international ties with, Tony Parker and Tim Duncan and Ginobili, but with how, from top to bottom, the organization, does things. I, I look at little things, and I look at the fact that Popovich just renewed his contract for, I think, 3 years, because I think he's excited about coaching a Wembanyama. And I think the Spurs are going to be really good, immediately. They have a lot of guys that were really good in college that have won in college. I think they are going to be a good team to watch. Everybody's going to watch Wembanyama, but just how they, do things, how they're going to defend, how they're going to, share the ball and allow Wembanyama to grow. I think it's a perfect match. And I think all organizations should, look at how the Spurs have gone from that dynasty with Tim Duncan to, even before that, David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Then they transitioned to Tim Duncan and Kawhi Leonard, and now they're transitioning into Wembanyama's reign, because I think
I
he's going to
agree.
win, big.
I agree. I think what Wembanyama brings to the game of basketball today, he has, if you're talking about players from the past, he has a Tim Duncan-like ability, even just the way he carried himself. But also you look at the way he moved on the basketball court. You look at him, how he plays like a Kevin Durant, right? How well he hands the basketball, how well he can pull up from 3-point range, and he also I know a lot of people worry about his inside presence. I do believe that he will be great inside the post because he can face up, he can play back to the basket. The game is not a wrestling match. So I think that if he just continues to stick to his principles and can stick to his skill set, definitely he will be fine playing against other bigs in the Western Conference.
Isn't it more physical in the league that he plays in because of the lack of elite athleticism? So they do more grabbing, and the officials kind of let you get away with being more physical.
Yes, I agree with that. The European game is a lot physical than everybody giving credit for, because a referee, especially a player like Wembanyama, they kind of let a lot of things go. They can push, grab. Then the U.S. here, I think the U.S. game, the NBA game has gone away from the physicality, right? Because they want to keep those superstars on the floor night in and night out. So I definitely believe that he will benefit from just playing here. And now we have gone to kind of a European style too. I mean, a lot of people don't want to admit that, but we are playing a more the game is a lot more spaced out. We're running a lot more. We're pushing the ball a lot more instead of playing a half court set. So I think that only worked to his strength. And he's playing for a really good coach that understands how to coach European players. So I think that Wembanyama will come in right away and be able to be effective. For me, he is actually my rookie of the year, just because of what he brings to the game.
Absolutely, I agree 100%.
And for him and his size, I mean, he averaged in the French league. He led the French league in all categories, pretty much. And I think that he will lead the league. I won't say he will lead the league in scoring, just because we have so many good scorers in our league right now. But I do believe that he will not be far off. He's a guy that can get a triple double every night or a double double every night. You have to also send two guys out, which is going to leave someone else open. And now we're shooting the basketball where we're shooting the ball, from the 3-point range. So I know that he will be very effective in moving the basketball, spreading the floor, and get a lot of guys open shots.
I think he's going to have good stats, but I think I compare him to this past season's Rookie of the Year, Paulo Banchero. He's put up some good stats, but maybe Orlando hasn't won as many games as people would pay attention to. I think even in the West, he's going to allow the Spurs to win a lot more than people expect or think that they would, only because the coaching goes without saying with Greg Popovich. But I think he's kind of like he's built for this moment. I think when LeBron came in the league, Tim Duncan came in the league, they were immediately successful because they've been preparing for it at a very young age, not just being NBA players, but being the face of a franchise and carrying really the league. So I think he's going to have a mindset of winning that's going to, in the NBA, if you play hard and you pay attention to details and you have talent, you can win some games. And I think he's
Yes.
going to win a lot more games than people think because of his intangibles are just as good to me as his measurements. And I think that's what's going to make him stand out so much as a rookie. He's going to be extremely
Okay.
mature.
I can't wait to see this young man play. I mean, he is a fan favorite for sure. And my only thing with him is, would he live up to the American hype, right? I know that LeBron, I know everyone want to say, well, he's the most hyped since LeBron, or even more hyped than LeBron. For me, when you start comparing guys and against LeBron, and LeBron was able to withstand all the hype and be above his hype.
Right.
So I think it's yet to be seen if Victor Wembanyama is going to be able to do so.
Well, the great thing about it is he's not allowing that to bother him. He knows that he's prepared. He knows he's going to a great organization. I mean, he's intelligent. He knew the night of the lottery that San Antonio is where I need to be. So I think, and remember Tim Duncan, who also came in with a lot of hype and over lived the hype. He's gonna have great mentorship. Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, even guys that you don't even think about. Bruce Bowens. Those guys are consummate professionals. San Antonio has, I mean, they just have such a great organization that's gonna have so much support for him. He won't let any of that stuff bother him. And if he does, that's to me what's gonna affect him. If he just continues to grow and learn and just be who he is, he'll be fine.
And you brought up a valid point. I think that with the San Antonio Spurs, their organization do a great job in keeping their veteran historical players around the organization. So when they bring a new face in, like a Wembanyama, Tim Duncan, those guys comes in with guys to help them become a pro and to be a pro. So
Right.
I do believe that he'll be fine. I think that him and the whole organization know how to manage a player of that caliber.
I agree. And the standard is what, he's not gonna be, although he's could be one of the greatest players to ever play the game, he's also going to know there's a standard here in San Antonio. I mean, everybody that leaves that organization, look at Becky Hammond in the WNBA. She leaves, she wins a championship in her first season, and even got better this year. They're they do it the right way. A lot of people talk about heat culture, but the Spurs have been doing it for a long time as well.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. What would you think would be his weakest point adjusting to the NBA?
Well, you hit on it a little bit. Any rookie coming in, they're going to have to get used to the physicality of the game. Even though it's more physical in Europe, you don't have the athletes that you do. I think the athleticism and the physicality is going to be what he has to adjust to. I don't think people realize how athletic NBA players are. I mean, they are the top. When people say they're the best athletes in the world, they don't understand that they're the best athletes in the world. Like, he's going to get dunked on. He's going to get his shot blocked. He's not used to that in the European game, where every night he may not really know who that guy is he's going up against, but he'll know by the end of the game. These guys are the best athletes. They all are going to want to go at his neck. So he's going to have to get used to that. But I think he will. And I think it's only because he's young. So, he's not a finished product. So that's the biggest thing that he's going to have to adjust to, and he will. And it's just a matter of time. But that's something. Don't expect him, in his first 10 games to do everything he's going to do that season. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. Do you feel, for me, I think that longevity, right? I start looking at his longevity. Do you feel like, because you don't have a lot of big men that as that tall have
Correct.
a longevity career. Do you feel that he will have a long career in the NBA?
Well, to answer that question, did we think that coming in LeBron would be playing 20 seasons? I don't think anybody expected that. So LeBron invested a lot of money into his body. Wembanyama already has invested money and time, and I think his trainer, from what I heard, is supposed to be joining the Spurs organization. They have already been proactive in his stretching regimen and his training regimen, as far as making sure that he has the longevity he's supposed to. So I am going to say yes, because we now have access to more, information as far as, the human anatomy, and as far as, muscle movements. And I don't think he's going to play 82 games every year. I don't even think he's going to play 75 games every year. I think the Spurs are going to be smart into, being strategic. I don't think he's going to play more than 1 or 2 summer league games. I think they're going to do, again, when we talk about great organizations, it's the little things that matter. I don't look at the big things. Oh, they drafted one of the best talents. No, they've already prepared for that. So they have already prepared their medical staff, their training staff, their coaches. They've prepared for, we're going to have this kid for 15 years, possibly more. This is what we have to do now, because soft tissue injuries are the most important things, most important injuries that, trainers and coaches need to be aware of. And preventative measures are always more important than what you do after the fact or rehab. So I have confidence that, he will have the longevity. Obviously, Lord willing, but I think they're very smart, and that's what I mean. I mean, if he can play 15 plus years, that's because, they actually put some effort into strategies to make sure that happens.
Here's my thing. I do believe, though, that he will need to put some size on him,
Right.
because to deal with the physicality. I mean, he got to get in the ring. I mean, when you're going against stronger, more physical guys, he would just have to be able to withstand the game. And I know that we have the minutes restrictions and game restrictions, but here, as a fan of the NBA, man, I want to see the guy play. I want to see the guy play. So I would like that he will be able to take care of his body all the way through. Put some size on. to withstand the physicality in the game, today. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I mean, I'm very excited to see what he can do. Um, I think that the Spurs, he could never went to a better organization that's going to protect him, that's going to lead him, and give him, all the knowledge that he needs to be a Hall of Famer. And I'm going to say this: he's a Hall of Famer. I know it's kind of early to tell, but the way he's playing right now, he's a Hall of Famer in my book.
I agree 100% with everything you said.
Do you feel like he could have went to another team? Which other team you think he would have been? Wembanyama would be better fit.
Well, it's not fantasy basketball, so we'd have to look at who else was in the lottery or who else had the same opportunity as far as the ping pong balls. But I don't want to pick a random team just to try to make it more specific to what what he would have. So let's say Charlotte and let's say Portland. I think Portland would have been a good look for him only because with that market would thrive for a star like him. There's a reason why they have the World Summit Games there in Portland. That's where the Nike headquarters are. So I think Portland would have been a good fit for him, just because of the market. I think the organization is okay, but the market would have been good. I think it would have been good for the league for him to be there. Giannis is thriving in Milwaukee, which is considered a smaller market. Jokic is thriving in Denver, which is considered a football market. So I think with him being in Portland, it would have been good for the league. But for him specifically to grow, obviously you got to look at the cream of the crops of the league. Oklahoma City would have been a good fit for him, even with Chet. I think Oklahoma City's organizational environment would have been good. I think, obviously one of the best organizations in the league is the Miami Heat. That would have been a good fit, but obviously they didn't have a pick that high. You know, I don't know about Detroit. I don't know if that would have been a good fit
No, I don't
just
think that
because
would.
of yeah, I don't think that would have been a good fit. So, judging on the teams that have that top 5 pick, I think the best outside of San Antonio would have probably been Portland just because of the market. And I think that, those are some smart guys. Chauncey Billups, he's growing as a coach, but he's played for Larry Brown and he's won in his career. So I think Portland would have been a nice fit for him. And obviously Dame would have been very excited to play with a kid like Wembanyama.
Definitely, I definitely agree.